I came here to save you.
The fortress is taken.
It is over.
Do not cite the deep magic to me, witch. I was there when it was written.
You're my only hope.
We shall fight on the beaches.
There will be days when we lose faith.
We band of brothers.
But take heart. Look around you. You're not in this fight alone.
I bid you stand! Men of the West!
Hey everybody, this is Caleb with KingsAdvisors, and we've got some House of the Dragon news to talk about. So as many people who have been watching Dan and I for the last couple of months know, we are very big fans of A Song of Ice and Fire. And we thoroughly enjoyed the first season of House of the Dragon. A lot more than honestly we both expected to. After the disappointment that season 8 was of Game of Thrones, and with hearing that Sapochnik was attached to the first season of House of the Dragon, we were both very concerned that it was going to be another tropey, badly written season, much like season 8 was. And that honestly couldn't be further from the truth, with the exception of the poor penultimate episode entitled The Green Council. It was a very good show, averaging 7.5 and above for every rating that Dan and I gave it, with the exception of the Green Council, which was, like I said, the penultimate episode, and that I gave like a 6.5, maybe 7. So, as many people have already pointed out, they are currently under production for season 2 right now. Now, whether or not that means they're currently filming, or if they're just in pre-production, getting stuff ready, moving people over there, starting the whole housing searches and stuff like that, the kind of stuff that you have to do to be able to host this kind of a production in another country. Because the people running this don't live in the same city that the production is happening in. So, you got to move everyone over there. You've got to find places for them to stay, things like that. So it's a very big ordeal. I do think that they've started filming something. So production is starting to go underway for this new season. And as that happens, we have some kind of disappointing news. And that is that the second season will not be 10 episodes like the first season was. It will actually be 8 episodes. This is somewhat disappointing for a couple reasons. One, when they did this with Game of Thrones, quality went down. So there's concern about that. Season 1 was really good. So because y'all are doing this, is the quality going to go down like it did with Game of Thrones? The other concern is, okay, so what does that mean for the story? We know that we've got a great storyline with Blood and Cheese coming. I don't want to exactly state what that means because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. But there are several battles in this book, in Fire and Blood. The question will be, how are they going to do those battles? Now, I was watching a video from another YouTuber earlier today that they thought they might move the big battle for season 2 to the beginning of season 1 and kind of the beginning of season 3 and kind of bookend season 3 with big battles. So, great idea. I think I would really enjoy that. But I don't think HBO could get around not having a big battle in season 2. So real quick, let me share my screen and go to this story from Deadline. So Deadline is reporting that, we've gone down to 8 episodes. that season 2 will contain an HBO spokesperson confirmed to Deadline that season 2 will contain 8 episodes. Stressed that the episode count trim was story driven. So, as I understand that means that they determined that the story they were trying to tell for season 2 could be told in 8 episodes. Now, I think that's a good thing because that means they don't want to have filler. It also means that they've decided to save money. So, as a lot of people know, Warner Brothers is in the hole a lot of money, billions upon billions of dollars. So, they can't afford to be making episodes of a very expensive show like House of the Dragons and them not pay off. So, I think 8 episodes means no filler, or at least no filler episodes. There's probably going to be filler scenes or scenes that we feel like don't really or couldn't pay off. And then hopefully, we'll be surprised and be like, oh my gosh, they really did pay off. The other thing I saw when I was reading this article was that in a blog post, Martin, this is George R. R. Martin, said that I am thrilled that we will still have 10 hours every season to tell our tale. Now, this is an older blog post. I think it's dated in October, but that could mean that even though we'll only have 8 episodes, more time will be added to some of those episodes. So we could get a feature length episode or 2, which would be really cool, especially tell the tale of Blood and Cheese, because I figure that that's going to be like the main climactic storyline of this season. It's a very bloody storyline, I'll say. And I think it's one of those storylines that could help fans like Dan, who is kind of annoyed with how they've showed the greens to be really, really bad and the blacks just kind of be reactionary. This is one of those storylines that, if done correctly, I think could bring that pendulum back down and kind of be like, oh, the blacks are pretty effed up too. But yeah, so that's the news that we have on House of the Dragon. Another really good point made in this article is that Warner Brothers Discovery, it's right down here, Warner Brothers Discovery new regime embraced the series last summer, supporting the $200 million production. So it cost $200 million to film and produce the first season, with the biggest marketing campaign in HBO's history, which means on top of that $200 million, they spent the most they've ever spent marketing a TV show on House of the Dragon. And I think they knew they needed to because of how badly they messed up on Game of Thrones season 8. I think this is one of those things where if you see all the dots, and it's kind of like that Pepe Silvia moment from Always Sunny. But if you see all the dots, you can kind of see where everything's going. You've got HBO spending a lot of money on producing this show and deciding to cut back on the number of episodes to prevent filler. Now, the only concern on that point that I have is further up in this article. It says that there was initial plans for another 10 episode arc, which eventually changed, leading to some script rewrites. Now, hopefully what that means is they determined they had filler and wanted to get rid of it. Hopefully what it doesn't mean is that they determined that it was too dark or too complex and decided to lighten it up. Disney has been doing that with their Star Wars shows, and it has not worked at all. So I'm hoping that this leads to a very good story, a very good season 2, and even more success for House of the Dragon, because it's such a good show and it's such a good story too, that its success and its rise in fandom can only be a good thing. As always, I'm Caleb. Please like, subscribe, share, click the bell, follow us on Twitter at KingsAdvisors _.